Okay, Lady Violet, you want to know about Wedge now. Well, he's retired. He's been retired for, I guess it's more than 10 years now. But that's hard to believe. But I never had him as a teacher. He retired the year before I would have been his student. Uh, Officially, he's taught me so much as his apprentice. But anyway, he taught maybe 35 years. He taught something called the humanities. Uh, he was allowed to do it. It was an unusual, very unusual course. He once told me that he was thrilled that he got to teach some of the stuff that he learned from a teacher he once had, a guy that everyone called Doc. And at that point, Violet said, "Oh, yes, yeah, I had him too." As a matter of fact, my mother dated Doc. You see, we knew each other very well back then. But anyway, he got to teach that stuff, and he loved teaching. So much so that when he was retired, he went right on teaching online, just like I'm talking to you now. He did the same sort of thing. He taught the same material because he thought it would never be taught again. He didn't use a textbook. He really just kind of told stories. He once said he thought he was born to teach. It's just what he did, and he did it so easily. He once said he teaches as easily as he breathes. I don't think Wedge could even tell a story without somehow teaching as he was doing that. So anyway, he's retired, and once he was retired, besides doing that teaching, he turned himself to his trade. He always said that his trade was a rough carpenter. His profession was a teacher, but his trade was a rough carpenter, and now he was younger then. He's not as healthy now as he was then, or strong. But anyway, he had a chance to try to build all this stuff. And my, oh my, he has a lot to build. You see, Wedge, in a way, all his life, in a sense, he's been trying to build a school and a village, the two together really, and a school where people would learn to build a village. It had to do with the crafts, a word that you seem to use a lot. So he had so much to do, and he threw himself into it, and I helped him some when I could before I went off to college. So what else? Well, what's his place? Violet said, "Well, what's his place look like now?" And at that, Len said, "Well, it looks junked up. Most people looking at it would say, 'Boy, this place is really junked up.'" Now, Wedge doesn't feel that way at all, of course. He's not a hoarder. Not exactly, because the stuff that he's junked it up with is all materials to build with or tools. He said, I think once he has like 80 different trades that he has tools for, but he doesn't have the people. But in any case, all that stuff is sitting there like so many jigsaw puzzles waiting to be put together. So most people would look at it and say, well, it's kind of junked up. But then I don't think that way. And of course, Wedge doesn't. He's got water running everywhere, for one thing, which is a sweet thing to see. He said he learned to do, he's got these contour ditches that go along the hillside and drop water to the next one, like terraces, like race terraces almost. And he's been doing that for decades. Close to 50 years he's been doing that. So there's water running everywhere unless there's a drought. And he said he saw that done in Peru, he said, and then in Switzerland. And Violet said, yeah, I was there. I was there when he saw that. You see, we also traveled together. We spent our vacations together. We were stationed together in Catala de Rocha, but we also took our vacations together. One in Peru, which was life-changing. For him, I'd have to say more than for me, because he, in a sense, just never recovered from what he saw there. And then afterward to Europe, but the places that really affected him were Portugal and Switzerland. So he wasn't lying about that. So there's water running everywhere. What else to say? Lots of stuff to do. He likes it. It just, he's running out of time. And then Violet said, I've actually been to that place, believe it or not, 3 times. You see, when we were young, still in high school, even, or early in college, we were such good friends with his family that when his family would get onto it, they once took me, and a couple times I went there with Wedge as well. Now, you say they call it Wedge Farm now? Well, back then they called it the ranch, but it was owned by his parents and his uncle and aunt, and they didn't get along very well. It was almost a hopeless situation. It was huge. It was 600 acres of woods and stuff. How big is? Do you know how much he does he own it now, and how much? And Lance said, yeah, he and his wife, Star, they own it, but they only own 37 acres. He's talked about that a lot. But he kept the buildings because he was a carpenter. I don't know, you must know this, Violet, that he has, when the inheritance came down from his grandfather, there were 7 grandchildren, only 1 boy. So there was just Wedge, and he had then 6 female cousins. Wait. He had 4 sisters, and he had 3 female cousins. That was 7, so there were 8 of them. But now he owns it. But sadly, in a way, he's getting so old that he can't really do what he'd hoped to be doing. Well, and then there's animals.